Hey guys, welcome to AMC Mailbag, the all mailbag show here on AMC Movie News, where all we do is take your questions. I like that guitar. I'm Ashley Movan. If you've got a question that you want answered on air, you can send it over anytime to amcmovietalk@gmail.com, and you can get answered on Mailbag or Movie Talk. And sitting with me to answer those questions is the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, Mr. John Campia.
You like that air guitar?
I do. It reminded me of the intro to Movie Talk.
That's exactly what I was doing. This is our music. This is great. We're back. We're up and running. We got the first week of the new year done. Now we're back into the stride of things, and so excited to be back.
How's been your first week? It's kind of started off with a bang.
First week has been great.
Yeah.
There's been some awesome news. We've had some really funny, great shows this week that I've just loved being a part of. The AMC Movie News team is so good. I just love doing the shows with all of them, and it's been a great week.
Yes,
I've been really happy.
So let's get into the first question of Mailbag. Tynan Klee writes, "Hi everyone, love the show and watch every day. You recently talked about Fox releasing Deadpool, then X-men Apocalypse and Gambit. I know they will be in the same world, but will all of their movies that year take place in the 80s or just X-Men? And will that make it hard for X-Men to cross over since present time them are not the first class people?"
Yeah, that's part of the big question. Like, I remember when they announced the release date for Gambit, that's going to be in 2016. Three Fox films, 3 Fox X-Men universe films are coming out within 9 months of each other. That's crazy and good. We are potentially looking at 8 comic book films in 2016, which I get giddy. I get excited about. I think that's awesome. But the thing I brought up was, I remember saying it's going to be curious to see how, if any, they incorporate Deadpool into the X-Men thing. How, if at all, they incorporate Gambit into it. Because what I think a lot of people forget is that the X-Men First Class takes place in the 80s. Well, not First Class. X-Men Apocalypse. If the reports are right, and I haven't seen anything to suggest that it's not, that the X-Men Apocalypse is going to take place in the 80s. And I don't think they're going to do that for Deadpool. I think Deadpool is going to happen modern day. I think, although I have nothing to base this on, but I think that the Channing Tatum Gambit movie is going to happen in modern time. So do they say that Deadpool is kind of more or less ageless, or ages really super slowly like Wolverine? In which case, you can have him show up no problem. Is Gambit...
That would be so... I was thinking that's so ridiculous.
Little Channing Tatum doing some Magic Mike dance.
He's on his knees.
Channing Tatum on his knees. Hey, guys. It's going to be interesting how they do that. They should try to find a way to, cross-pollinate these a little bit, but don't force it. Look, if they can't come up with a good way to have Deadpool in X-Men Apocalypse, then don't put Deadpool in X-Men Apocalypse. Serve the movie. And then let Deadpool do its own thing, let X-Men Apocalypse do its own thing, let Gambit do its own thing. But I have a feeling Fox will try to find a way to cross-pollinate them. It's just there's no obvious answer to how they're going to do it.
Did Hugh Jackman say something about that? I thought I heard him say something about the worlds combining. I could totally be wrong. And he said including Wolverine. Well,
it's going to be interesting. Yeah, he did talk a little bit about it, but it was so vague that it's hard to say. Now, remember, he's playing the one character that can be in any time period because he's Wolverine.
Right.
He doesn't age, basically. Even though we've seen Hugh Jackman age, although, damn, I hope I look that good when I'm his age. Or let's be honest, half that good when I'm his age. He's got the character who can do it. Very few of the other characters can. So Wolverine has always been the thread that ties the whole X universe together. So we're going to have to see now in this post-timeline reset, post-X-Men Days of Future Past timeline reset, how that's going to function, how it's going to work. I don't know, but I am really excited. Just finding that out is part of the excitement for me.
I guess we'll see what happens.
All right.
Brandon Bush writes, "Hi guys, love the show. My question is in reference to film release dates and box office grosses. Would it be best in business sense for the studios putting out the new Star Wars, Avatar, Avengers films, and so on to do so in the midsummer timeframe rather than in early spring or winter? Obviously, those films are going to make tons of dollar signs, and that can be said when their release is a year or more out. But would they likely make more money by releasing them when the most movie tickets are sold? I can't help but think of the blockbusters that were released in December, Titanic, Avatar, and how much more they might have been able to earn if they had been released 5 to 6 months earlier or later."
Well, here's the thing about that sort of logic, that line of logic, okay? Because it's like saying, okay, the big blockbusters come out in the summer. However, the evidence suggests otherwise. The evidence says, well, guess what? The two biggest box office films of all time came out in December. So you're starting with an assumption. Instead of looking at the evidence and saying, when is the best time to put out a movie? You're starting with the assumption that the summer is better. Therefore, these movies would have made more money in the summer. That's not necessarily the case. If you had released Titanic and Avatar in the summer blockbusters months, there's no guaranteeing that they would actually, you know what? I will guarantee you they wouldn't have made as much money. And here's why. Avatar did not have a massive opening weekend. It had a big opening weekend, but it wasn't like record breaking. It didn't come close to breaking any record. I don't even think it made $100 million its opening weekend. But the thing is, it had legs and kept going and going and going and going and going. But when did it have legs? It had legs going into the early weeks of January, the late January, and then into February, right? Where you don't have week after week after week of big blockbuster movies opening. You release Avatar in May. Okay, you put it out in May, has a big opening weekend. But then next week, 2 other big blockbusters open. The next week, another big blockbuster opens. The next week, 2 more big blockbusters. And week after week, you are facing bigger and bigger and stiffer competition. The Avatar went like this. Now, normally happens, a movie opens up here, then its second week, it takes about a 40 to 60% drop, right? Avatar didn't do that. But it was helped by the fact that it didn't have big, massive blockbusters week after week coming after it. So it was able to get to a plateau, hold that plateau, make money week after week without really severe, stiff competition. You put that out in the summer, it's a different ball game. Are more people going to see the movies in the summer? Yes, but you have to keep into consideration the fact that there's also stiffer competition. So I'm going to go on record and saying, no, I disagree with that assumption. I disagree that if they had released Avatar in the summer instead of in December, they would have made more money. It released exactly where it needed to release. That was a perfect release date for it. Titanic. So if you don't start with an assumption and just sit back and say, let's look at the evidence. When's the best time to release a film? It depends on the film. But the 2 biggest blockbuster films in history opened in December. So you got to take that into consideration.
Do you think it depends on the genre of the film? Let's say if it was like a horror movie, you don't really, I mean, I guess a horror movie in summer would be fun, but usually the feel is around, Halloween time and you want to be scared and stuff. Do you think that if it depends on the genre of the film?
Yeah, I think not only genre, but more specific than the genre, the individual film itself. I think one of the big jobs at the studios, which is why they get paid the big money, is assessing the type of film that they have. Where does that fit in? And then not just time of year, what else is opening around it? So you're not just assessing what is the best time of year to put out this film. What is the best fit? How does our movie match up best with other movies that are opening on various weekends throughout the year? So then strategically, where can we put this film that it will have the best bang for our buck?
Right.
It is I don't think there's one fast and hard rule. I think it's more of an art than a science. And I think it's a very fine art that people got to figure out and do. And that's why they get paid way more money than me.
I always wondered, though, let's say a huge movie is coming out and let's say, what if that's sold out? And then automatically these people are pushed to go see another movie that they weren't planning on seeing. So would that kind of be smart also to release your movie during another?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. The most highly, I think it's safe to say, the most highly anticipated movie release in my recent memory was the first Star Wars prequel. Bag of crap movie, but we didn't know that until it opened. We'd never seen anything like it in film history. People more anticipating a movie to open. And so what happened? Everybody else ran away from it. All the other movies ran away from it. But I believe, now fact checker Jonathan, can you do me a favor? Look up the release dates for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace and Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. Hey, everybody. I am interrupting this regular broadcast of AMC Mailbag because I'm about to say some really stupid things in the show. We'll get to that in a second. See, I'm about to make a point that you can open a smaller or some kind of counter-programming film against a big, huge blockbuster like The Phantom Menace, and it'll do great because you'll have overflow and there's counter-programming because, you know, if there's girls who don't want to go see Star Wars, give them a little romantic comedy, they'll want to go see that. Well, I said The Mummy opened against Phantom Menace, and dead wrong on that. The Mummy actually opens 2 weeks before The Phantom Menace did in 1999. And on the same week that The Phantom Menace opened, also the movie The Love Letter starring Jack Black and Ellen DeGeneres opened. And if you're saying, what movie is that? Then that just goes to prove just how wrong I am. Because despite the fact that I'm about to say you can open a movie against a big blockbuster and it'll do just fine if it's counter-programming, you've never even heard of The Love Letter, and it only made $8 million. Now, in my defense, the following week, they did have a counter-programming movie called Notting Hill, the Julia Roberts film, and that film made over $360 million worldwide. So maybe there's something to be said for that. But in general, my whole thing about opening The Mummy against it was wrong, that you can open a romantic comedy against a blockbuster, it'll do fine, that was wrong. Anyway, let's get back to AMC Movie Talk and continue watching me make a fool of myself. Let's go. And I believe that they opened on the same weekend. If my memory serves me correctly, I think they opened on the same weekend. Jonathan will confirm that. Yeah, Brendan Fraser.
Well, Phantom Menace is May 19th.
Phantom Menace was May 19th, and he'll look up The Mummy. But I think they opened on the same weekend, which goes exactly to what you were just saying. Mm-hmm. That whole idea that people will go see, maybe they go to see Star Wars, but every single theater was packed.
Right.
You got to see something else. Or a lot of people go to the movies. Mm-hmm. What if there are just people that want to go to the movies but don't want to see Star Wars? Mm-hmm. A few of those freaks exist. A few of those unholy freaks exist in this world. What's that?
Yeah, so May 19th, and then The Mummy was May 7th.
Okay, so so it wasn't the same weekend, but I remember something opened on the same weekend as Star Wars, but the point was that there was overflow business, mm-hmm. and there was what they call counter-programming, because not everybody's going to want to see Star Wars, no matter how big that movie is. And I guarantee you, when Avengers Age of Ultron opens, there are going to be some movies around it. They're also going to be counting on that. Mm-hmm. Counting on people going to the theater, not being able to get in, and going to go see something else, or the fact that, hey, not everybody's going to want to see Avengers, so let's put out something that would be good counter-programming. And it's in times like that might be good if you've got a little rom-com or what you would traditionally call a chick flick. If you've got one of those, that might not be a bad time to put it out because you might be able to get a lot of overflow money.
Yeah. Very smart. Gerard C. writes, with Fox announcing 3 comic book movies in 2016, DC and Marvel releasing 2, and possibly Sony having 1 comic book movie in that same year, do you think the general movie-going audience will be fatigued with having this many comic book movies in 1 year?
I've addressed versions of this question once or twice before. I don't think I have in a while. I honestly do not understand this whole, because you hear people talk about it a lot. People are going to get comic book movie fatigue. Why? Mm-hmm. Why? Why would I get tired of good stuff? Do people who enjoy NFL football get tired of watching football? Do people who watch NBA basketball get tired? They'll watch 82 games a year. They'll watch a full season of NFL football. And then when football's done, all they're doing is like, I got to get football back. And they're scratching the imaginary ants off themselves. I mean, no, and I make this argument before, but like Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. How many episodes are in a season of Game of Thrones? 10, right? That's 10. 10. Did people get tired of watching 10 hours of Game of Thrones in 1 year? Mm-hmm. No. Because they like it. They love it. They keep it fresh. They keep the story moving. They keep it going. And it's something different every week, right? And you're watching it. Or let's take a show that I happen to like. I like the show Grimm. Not my favorite show on TV right now by any stretch. But it's an hour-long show, right? And I think they have like 22 episodes a season. 22 episodes in 1 year. People are going to get tired of it in just one season. No, I've watched 3 seasons of Grimm now. If I like it, I'm not tired of it.
Right.
We're talking about, even though this is going to be the most comic book movies in 2016 that we've ever had in a single year, it's still 8. 8 over the year. So no, I do not understand. Now, will we get tired of bad comic book movies?
Right.
That's a totally separate discussion. Look, comic book movies today are better than they have ever been. They're getting better and better and better. It started with X-Men, then Nolan took it up to the next level, then we have Avengers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a great era right now for comic book films. So, no, if they keep putting out good comic book movies, I do not believe people will get fatigued of them if they're good. That's like saying, oh, too many comedies. Too many people are going to get tired. People are going to get tired of movies with police in it. Movies with police in it. Too many people. No, if it's good, people will see it, and we will continue to go see them.
Right. You made this sport analogy, though.
I often do.
It reminded me of my poor Lake show. Lakers, I love you, but this season you're not.
I hate the Lakers.
Breaks my heart. They're not doing as well. So it's
they
not.
Suck. You can say
okay,
it.
They are sucking. They will get better. They are sucking, but it's not as fun to watch when your team isn't doing as well. So let's say there are a couple bad comic book movies that come out. Do you think it could ruin it for the rest of them?
Arnold Schwarzenegger's Batman and Robin movie killed the genre.
Okay.
Single-handedly, didn't just kill the Batman franchise, it killed the genre as a whole. But the thing is, the comic book movies at the time, they were not like they were a powerhouse at the time. So it was a fragile thing to start with. If you had one movie that is so epically bad as that George Clooney one was, and I love George Clooney, but come on, then that could, send ripple effects. And it wasn't until, Blade came along, did well, but it wasn't until X-Men, that first Bryan Singer X-Men, that made Hollywood once again go, oh, wait a minute, people will flock to these and they can be good and excellent and create franchise opportunities again? Okay, and then, you hear the producers of Spider-Man talked about that when they saw what they were doing with X-Men, they realized, we can do Spider-Man now. And they started the wheels motion in Spider-Man. But now it's a different situation because the comic book movie industry, Marvel, DC, Sony, what have you, that the whole genre itself overall is so healthy that it can withstand an Iron Man 2. When an Iron Man 2 comes along and disappoints, that's just a bump in the road now. But we get to a point which could very well happen, especially if the industry starts putting out 8, 9 comic book movies a year. You get to a point where, let's say we have 8 comic book movies that year, and 4 of them really stink. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. You put out 8 comic book movies and only 1 is bad and 7 of them are great. It's just going to get stronger and stronger. But you hit where 4 of them are bad, 5 of them are bad. Suddenly the subsequent years don't look so healthy. But the industry right now can survive 1 big stinker, maybe even 2.
Connor Lee writes, as always, I love watching the show. My question is regarding the recent news that Fox beat the record for overall worldwide box office growth. My question is that now with Disney releasing 2 huge films in 2015, Avengers Age of Ultron and Star Wars Episode 7, along with other big movies such as Inside Out, Ant-Man, Cinderella, and Tomorrowland, and probably some other movies that I forgot to mention, obviously it will be a huge year for Disney. But do you think it will be big enough to top Fox's new set record?
Yeah, we just talked about on AMC Movie Talk this week that it was a great year for Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Fox, which was just a couple years ago, like the one studio that film fans used to mock and go, at least it's not at Fox, he. Well, let's look at Fox. This past year, they put out X-Men Days of Future Past, arguably the best comic book movie of the year. I'm not saying I necessarily think it is, but there's a good argument to be made for that. It was great. You had Gone Girl. You had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. You had How to Train Your Dragon 2. You had the Fault in Our Stars, which everybody universally loved. They had like a great lineup of films and made $5.5 billion at the worldwide box office. I don't think Disney's going to beat it next year or this year. I don't think Disney's going to beat it. Let's look down their list. Okay, they got the 2 big massive ones. You've got Star Wars, which I think will be a $1 billion worldwide movie. You've got Avengers, which could probably be a $1.5 billion movie. Well, there's $2.5 billion. You need 3 more billion. Inside Out could be Pixar's best film, not going to be a $1 billion worldwide film. Ant-Man, it's up to this point, it's the most unique of the Marvel films. Not going to be a $1 billion film. Cinderella, Tomorrowland, they got some really good films in this lineup. But does their bench, we're going to talk sports analogies, you got your starters, you got Avengers Age of Ultron, you got Star Wars. There's your 2 starters. Can your bench movies make up $3 billion more? I don't think so. I hope I'm wrong. I hope, maybe Star Wars, maybe more people forget about the prequels than we think they will, and they'll go out and give it a shot. Maybe Star Wars can hit that 1.5 as well. Maybe Tomorrowland can be a big international hit. Maybe Ant-Man will be a bigger hit like Guardians of the Galaxy was. But I cannot see those bench movies for Disney making up a $3 billion difference. Don't see it happening.
If not now, then when? And who's going to do it with Star Wars and Avengers? Like, those are huge movies. Who's gonna break that record?
It's about, I can't remember if it was Dennis or it might have been Mark Ellis that made this point. One of the really cool things about Fox's lineup this year is, going back to a sports analogy, it's a very balanced lineup. You had comic book, comedy, fantasy, drama, chick flick. You had a animated family film. You had a very balanced, wide-ranging, wonderfully crafted slate of movies that Fox put out this past year. I'm telling you guys, Fox, they had a regime change, and that company has turned themselves around. I am now excited about Fox Films, which, how long has it been, seriously, since we've all said that? But they are going in a terrific direction. So if not Disney in 2015, what's it going to take? I think, number one, it's going to take to have a couple of big blockbusters like Fox did this year, like Disney will have this year. But then have a really strong, balanced bench, if you will, of those other films that are going to come along, have wide, broad appeal, as well as some really good niche successes. It was just a damn good year for Fox. They did everything right this year, other than Night at the Museum too. But that's a story for another time. But even that movie made them money, so it might be a few years before we see that record fall. Okay. It's going to fall, but it might not be till like 2018, 2019.
Wow. Okay, makes sense.
Or this year. I could be totally wrong, and it's going to be this year.
Derek Brunsky writes, "Hey guys, I'm a huge fan of the show and watch every day. My question is, you guys always talk about guilty pleasures, and Zorro is one of my guilty pleasures. Zero. Do you think we'll ever see another one? I absolutely love these movies, and I would like to hear what you guys think."
Well, if it all depends on what Zorro you're talking about, but let's go on the assumption you're talking about the Anthony Hopkins, Antonio Banderas, Catherine Zeta-Jones. We're never going to see a sequel to that film. And if that is the film you're talking about, I'm with you. I like that Zorro. I think, was it called The Legend of Zorro? Was that if you want to look that up, I think it was the full official title was The Legend of Zorro. It might have just been Zorro. But Jonathan's going to look that up. I like that movie. I had fun with it. And it is The Legend of Zorro. So for those who are unfamiliar with it, actually Anthony Hopkins is Zorro, and he's retired. And Antonio Banderas becomes his heir, if you will. He's passing on the mantle of Zorro to him. And, of course, Catherine Zeta-Jones is the love interest, and hilarity ensues. I liked it, and I would have been up for a sequel. It never happened. It's far too late for that to happen now, so that's not going to come around. But so let's put sequel aside. Could we see another Zorro movie in general? Another remake, another re-envisioning of it? I think so. It's such a legendary property. It's such an iconic property. Like, even people who've never seen a Zorro film, at least a lot of people, you go in a sword motion and pretend you're scratching a Z on a wall, people will know you're talking about Zorro. That's Zorro. So, and it's such a great story too. And look, it's kind of like an underlying thing for Batman and stuff like that. Rich, wealthy, affluent guy uses his money and wealth and his personal skills to stand up for the downtrodden and what. I mean, that's legendary stuff, right? That's timeless stuff. So if we're never going to see a sequel to the Antonio Banderas one, which I do not think we will, I think another Zorro film, another incarnation, another envisioning of it is inevitable. I think it's got to happen.
I could totally be crazy. There was a Zorro TV show as well, right?
Was there?
I'm pretty sure there was.
I don't remember it.
I think there was a long time ago, though. So what makes something more suitable for TV versus a person or a topic that's more suitable for a movie?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, if you think, can you tell? This is why movies are so much more difficult than television, I contend. If you can tell a great, impacting, wide appeal, exciting story, beginning, middle, end, character development, plot development, all that kind of stuff in 2 hours, great. And you can make a lot of money. And you can have wide-lasting success. If you can't, then maybe you can make it into a TV show. Because then you have 22 episodes in 1 year or 12 episodes in 1 year that you can take all the time in the world that you want to develop your characters, develop your story and stuff like that. So it really depends. There are certain stories. There's no such thing as genre specific. It's all about the individual story. If you got a story that is better suited to doing that over 12 episodes, great. If you've got a thing that you think you can pull it off and do it in 2 hours and 10 minutes, do it in 2 hours and 10 minutes. It really depends on the property.
All right. Shannon Hudson writes, hey guys, with the recent ant-sized teaser from Ant-Man to advertise the human-sized teaser to air during Agent Carter, I got to thinking about movies using gimmicks like this for advertising. Do you think it is a good idea? Does it actually do anything to improve the box office for the film? I can't see a Marvel film needing to use such techniques. Thanks.
Well, look, there's a reason why a lot of people dream of being ad executives. I mean, they have to be incredibly creative, a lot of pressure. It's all about what makes you stand out, what puts you in people's minds more than something else. I mean, I thought the Ant-Man, because for you who don't know what we're talking about, Ant-Man put out this thing, we're going to show you an ant-size teaser for the upcoming trailer. And it was a big white screen with the Ant-Man logo, and in the middle, tiny little frame that showed like 5 seconds of the trailer, but you couldn't even see it. It was so small.
That's so cute.
Those types of gimmicks, I think that takes a lot of creativity, and we talked about it. You know, a lot of you're asking us about it, right?
That's true.
Made a lot of people talk. It put Ant-Man in the front of people's minds, and that's what marketing needs to do. Get the title first of all in front of people, get them thinking about it, and then getting the right image of the movie out in front of people. And a thing like that, an ant-sized teaser to the upcoming trailer. That was cute.
Yeah.
That was creative. Now, to the second, do I think that makes a difference? Yes. Spreading awareness of your project and putting out the right message of your project completely. It's marketing. It's marketing. It's marketing. It's marketing. You know, marketing doesn't make a good movie. But marketing makes whether people will go to see your good movie, to know that it was good in the first place, you know? So important. Now, to the second part of the question is, does a Marvel movie, does a Disney movie even need to do that? Well, there was this huge unstoppable force called MySpace that people thought would be eternal, like Rome. They thought it would be the eternal kingdom. Nothing can ever stop MySpace.
I loved it.
And MySpace embodied the philosophy of, well, we're MySpace. We don't even need to do anything new. We don't need to push it. We don't need to try to keep pushing forward and get new people. We've already got millions of people using us. Who cares that they don't like our crappy layout? We're going to leave it as it is because we're MySpace. We don't have to do anything. Well, guess what? Rome fell. Then along came Facebook that did everything a little bit better, a little bit wiser, learned from the mistakes of them, and suddenly, like I said, Rome had burned to the ground. Now MySpace is the butt end of everybody's jokes. And I think Disney is wise enough, and I know a lot of the marketing people and the PR people at Disney, they are smart enough and wise enough to know, hey, if you're king of the hill, that just means you got to work harder to stay on top. Once you get on top, it's harder to stay on top. And they're the ones. It behooves them more to be creative and push the envelope and find new ways to be fun and interactive with their audiences, to put the message out in front of people. And I think they do a great job of it. And little things like this little Ant-Man thing, is really represents that, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was really cute and clever. Do you think any fans were pissed off about it? Like, almost like they were so excited it frustrated them to see that.
I don't think so. I think because they made it very clear this teaser's coming in just a couple of days. So hang on. All I know is I saw a lot of people talking about it. I didn't hear anybody complaining about it, but I heard a lot of people talking about it.
Andrew Ciancielo writes, thank you for putting out quality episodes of Casual Movie Talk. Your hard work really shows. My question is, how would you guys rank all of Chris Nolan's movies from 8th to 1st? Out of Insomnia, Batman Begins, TDKR, The Prestige, Memento, The Dark Knight, Interstellar, Inception.
All right, so this is how, first of all, I don't know. I think he has another film called The Following, but we never count that because it wasn't a studio or wide release film. So we don't even count that. So out of these 8 films, I don't know that I can think of any other director that has at least 6, 7, 8 films in their resume that I can sit back and say, I like all of them. I don't love everyone on this list. I love most of them on this list. But there's not a film on this list that I go, that's a bad movie. Not one. Even Steven Spielberg, who I think is the greatest of all time, has a bad one. I mean, he's done a lot more films, but this is an incredible resume. We read these things and then you stop and think all these films came from the same guy. Crazy good. But I will put them in order. I'll start at my worst one. What I believe is the worst Christopher Nolan, so I'll put this one in 8th, is The Dark Knight Rises. I think that's his weakest film. I really do. And I've gone at length many, many times about why I think The Dark Knight Rises is his weakest film. Still a film I enjoyed. I still liked watching it, but to me, it is his weakest film. In the number 7 spot is his next weakest film, I believe, is Interstellar. I liked Interstellar, but I did not really like it, and I certainly didn't love it. I thought it was a pretty good movie that had more upside than it was able to deliver on. In number 6... now we start to get into I really like these ones. Number 6, The Prestige. I could have done without their ending. I know some people go crazy excited for the ending of The Prestige. I thought the ending of The Prestige was a little bit weak, but it does not ruin the fact that even though I didn't like the ending of The Prestige, it doesn't ruin the fact that I thought the rest of the film was just great. So number 6 for me is Prestige. Number 5, the one that put Nolan on everybody's map, Batman Begins. Batman Begins started off the whole new Batman series. Number 4, the one that introduced everybody to Christopher Nolan really is Memento. I love Memento. I still am kind of haunted by that movie. I just think it's terrific. Number 3 is Inception. Such a brilliant, thought-provoking, visually stunning, and has everybody talking kind of movie, right? Such a smart film, Inception. My number 2 favorite Christopher Nolan film, and it depends. Some days you ask me, I might actually have this one at number 1, but today I have it at number 2. My number 2 favorite Christopher Nolan film is Insomnia, which I think is his most underappreciated film, done with Hilary Swank, Al Pacino, Robin Williams. Amazing movie that nobody ever talks about. Nobody talks about this. I've watched this film like 7 times. And I just soak in. I just think it's so bloody brilliant. It's such a great film. Which leaves the number 1, no drama here. My number 1 Christopher Nolan film is probably going to be 95% of everybody's number 1 Christopher Nolan film, which is The Dark Knight. Just a masterpiece. I think Avengers is the greatest comic book film of all time. But there is a solid, valid, great argument for The Dark Knight. There's a lot of people out there who call The Dark Knight the greatest comic book movie of all time, and for good reason. It's spectacular. Just out of curiosity, everybody in the room, is The Dark Knight not anybody's number 1 Christopher Nolan film?
No, for sure.
All right, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So I think most people feel that way too. So once again, in order, starting at number 8, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, The Prestige, Batman Begins, Memento, Inception, Insomnia, The Dark Knight.
What was it? I remember when Inception came out, literally everyone was going crazy over it. Why did everyone love that so much?
Well,
I liked it, but I wasn't like so blown away with it.
There was a really interesting mix of being it was mind-twistingly smart. I mean, you had to follow that film and you had to, if you blinked, you were lost, right? But it was mixed with incredibly powerful performances. This is Tom Hardy, Anne Hathaway, Leonardo DiCaprio, Michael Caine. I mean, it was just top to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, top to bottom, stellar cast. Brilliant visuals. That film is one of the most stunning, probably I'll say even more than Interstellar. I think the most stunningly visual film Christopher Nolan has done. And it's a very rare film that you can combine all that into one package. And then, of course, what I call a little bit of a cop-out ending. But that ending, that had everybody talking. Everybody's talking.
Yeah,
so it had all that kind of buzz factor to it that just really made it special for a lot of people.
Right. I'm going to watch that one again. Todd Morgan writes, greetings and salutations, AMC team. You guys rock, and I'm your number 1 fan. Having said that, I have a question about your thoughts on a 2015 release. Steven Spielberg's Cold War epic wrapped filming in December. The film stars Tom Hanks and legendary stage actor Mark Rylance. The script was written by the Coen brothers. Why was this not on anybody's top 10 most anticipated films of 2015 list? Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a film I talk about every once in a while, and it really comes down to this. I think everybody's looking forward to it because it's arguably the greatest director of all time, with unarguably one of the greatest actors of all time. One of the very few human beings that can ever say they won back-to-back Oscars, Best Actor Oscars, in Tom Hanks. So, and written by the Coen brothers. Excuse me, Steven Spielberg film written by the Coen brothers, starring Tom Hanks. Are you kidding me? But the excitement gets hindered by the fact that we know nothing about this movie. Yeah. Other than the era, we know nothing about this movie. So if there's any other movie out there that all we know is who the director is and who the actor is, we don't even talk about it. Because it's Spielberg and Hanks, written by the Coen brothers, we're all talking about it. But because we know nothing about this film, we have seen, obviously, no trailers. We've seen, obviously, no image. We don't know anything about it. It kind of precludes it from hyping up our anticipation for it. Now, once all that stuff starts coming, we may want to reevaluate our list for sure. But I defend my personal list by not having it on there simply because I don't know anything about it to supplant one of these other films on my top 10 most anticipated that I do know things about.
Right.
So that's probably why it works out that way.
Do you think that this is because it's all marketing's fault, or are we not supposed to know anything about it? They're choosing not to let us know about it.
Well, I think there's a part of that involved too, but it's also about timing their marketing. They know they don't need to put out a trailer right now. They don't need to have any of that stuff out right now. But it would be interesting just to know more about the movie.
Right.
But they want to play it close to the vest, and we'll see if that pays off or not.
Okay. And dare I even ask, what is your most anticipated movie of 2015?
Oh, God.
Dare I even ask?
Oh, come on,
I'll take a wild guess. Star Wars?
Someone's got a lightsaber in it. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, I think that is the
that's
last
it.
question. That went really fast. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. I just want to remind you guys that lots of great movies are being shown in AMC theaters today. So go ahead and head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theaters, your show times, and your ticket info. And if you want a podcast version of this episode, check out the description box below for the link and clickety-click that subscribe button. Thanks to the guys in the room, Dennis and Jonathan, and thanks to you, John, editor-in-chief. Thanks so much. Where can people find you online?
People can find me on the interwebs on Facebook and on Twitter at John Campia.
And you can also find me on the interwebs on Instagram and Twitter at Ashley Mova. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we will catch you next time. Bye.